here's Brody Brazil.
In this video, I'll share the vocal signal chain I use for this microphone, the Electro-Voice RE20, in addition to my interface, the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X. Now, as you can see over my shoulder here, my everyday mic is the Neumann U87 AI. But that being said, my favorite dynamic microphone for vocal applications is this, the RE20. I know there's a lot of SM7B fans out there, but I really like the sound of the RE20. I may use and prefer this microphone in more long-form narration situations, if you were recording an audiobook, if you were recording several hours of dialogue to be played back. I do feel like what this microphone picks up is less harsh on the ear than a condenser. I mean, it does have condenser-like qualities, this microphone, especially the top and bottom end, but it's not as fatiguing on the ear, I feel like, over a long period of time as a condenser mic might be. In addition, the rejection here, the pickup pattern is a little bit tighter on this microphone, so if your room was not treated, now, I should also explain that. This room, my home studio, very much treated. Not completely insulated from the outside, but treated on the inside so that you don't get a lot of reflections, my voice bouncing among the various walls and going back into this microphone. So I do have to say that certain environments might also make me choose this microphone over a condenser like the TLM-103 or maybe even a shotgun mic like the Sennheiser MKH-416. I do have to say, again, this is one of my favorite microphones to use for vocal applications. So now that you know the hardware, this microphone, this interface, I should now maybe dive into the settings. Okay, so this is the console app here for Universal Audio, and I'm gained up at 28.5 dB on the Unison preamp, and the plug-in here is the solid-state Logic 4000E channel strip. I pretty much use this on all of my microphones to start off with because the channel strip has a lot of options right out of the gate. So gained up at 28.5 dB. Oh, should also tell you that with this microphone, and you can see it here, I am using the Triton Fed head. Now that inherently boosts this microphone signal about another 28 dB with phantom power. So that's the boost you're getting going into the interface. 28.5 dB here, in addition to this 28.5 dB right there as I'm gained up. Okay, so that being said, I am using expansion. I'm turned up just below 5. Fast attack, very fast release. And when I stop talking here, you can see it reduces about 6 dB of gain. Now, there is definitely such a thing as being turned up too high or not having it up enough to make a difference. If you're listening on headphones right now, which I encourage you to do, listen as I turn this off. Do you hear that? Do you hear a little bit more hiss, room noise? And when I turn it back on there, you can hopefully hear a little bit of a difference if you're listening critically. You can also hear me bouncing the table right now without a shock mount on this microphone. I apologize. All right, low and high cut. Pretty much have that turned off on the low side. It does look like on the top side here, I am cutting at about 16,000 hertz at the very, very top. Okay, then we get into the EQ section here. I am boosting at about 4,000 hertz, kind of a speech range right there. I'm boosting 3 dB, so pretty significantly there on the top end. Right here at, let's call it 700 hertz, I'm actually cutting right here to the tune of about 3 dB. Each one of these dots represents 3 dB plus or minus, and I'm doing that on a pretty tight cue, so that's my high mids. Then here are my low mids. I'm taking away at about 275. That is a common cut area on my voice that's necessary. Get rid of that boxiness, so that's what's happening here on a pretty tight cue. And then on the low end, and this mic, it does have the variable D technology, so as I get here real close to it and close talk it, you're not getting maybe some of that same boominess as you would with other microphones, but I'm also only boosting about 1.5 dB at 100 hertz. All right, so that's the EQ section. I'm pushed up here a little bit on the fader, a little bit on the output. I'm really trying to get the sound of this plug-in and use it to full ability. All right, 1176, I can activate it, but it's not being used right now. If I am to turn it on right now, it carries a little bit of a different sound. I used to have this in the signal chain, but not anymore. So I'll turn it back off. Okay, That brings me to the Neve 1073 Legacy plugin here. No additional gain. I'm not pushing it harder out of this at all. On the top end here, and I believe this is about a 12,000 hertz range, I am giving it a little bit of a push. Each one of these dots represents about 2 dB. So I have it turned up about 2. Again, slight push. This microphone is very present on the top end. It doesn't need a whole lot of that. I am cutting at 700 hertz, a little bit less than 2 dB. And then on the low end, I am boosting at about 60 hertz, maybe 2. So not a lot of big changes here. In fact, if I turn that off, I don't know, do you hear much of a difference right there? I just turned all the EQ section off versus turning it back on here. Maybe a little bit. Again, listen on headphones, get the true experience. And then my only low cut in this entire chain is right there at 50 hertz. Okay, and that brings me to the LA2A. So I've EQ'd, I've used expansion, then EQ, and now we get to compression. And you can pretty much see here that my gain is at 30. My peak reduction is a little bit less than 40. I'm on limit mode. My emphasis knob is turned up to about 2 o'clock. And for normal speech, I'm anywhere between, looks like here -1 and -2. So I'm not really driving this hard. I'm not, slamming it. For example, this is normal speech. But how about excited speech? Excited speech is going to get me somewhere in the 3 to 5 range. But you're not getting a lot of that here. So the compressor, it's an optical compressor, and it's working at about the rate I would hope to give it this sound. Okay, so that's it. That's my entire signal chain that you're seeing from the hardware side of it and from the software side of it. But what if I take all of this away? Okay, I just turned off all the EQ, all of the processing, and this is the RE20, gained up at 24 dB, again with the Fed head that also does 28 dB. So this is what it sounds like, totally raw and unprocessed. I do not have the low-cut filter engaged here on this microphone, so you're getting a sound and a sample of what this would be like out of the box if you plugged it into just an audio recorder without any effects. And I mean, clearly, from the home studio standpoint, right, like this, I think I popped it there, this does sound a lot different. Not necessarily bad. In fact, some people I know in the comments are going to tell me they prefer this sound. It's a lot more natural. But what I'm going for in all of these settings is something that's good for live streaming, something that's good for making YouTube videos. And by the way, I do all of the processing burned in, right? I record it this way because at the volume of content I'm doing, I don't want to have to go back after the fact and post-produce all my audio. I'm putting these effects on live. I'm recording live. I also want to be able to hear them and monitor live so that I know exactly how it sounds. As I switch back to the fully processed version, and again, I think if you're listening critically on headphones or on any speaker, you can tell right there what the exact difference is. I'm going to level out those volumes so they're pretty much the same, but more than volume level, I think you can just hear definition, clarity, intelligibility. It just sounds a lot more pleasant and enhanced here with the vocal signal chain. So that's it. Hopefully some of that made sense, helps you. And I do have to say every voice, every room is a little bit different. So those are my cuts in terms of EQ and boosts in certain areas and my compressor settings, but everything's going to be different and unique to you with your voice, in your room, wherever you're recording this with your setup. But that's what works for me, and hopefully you found some of that useful. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'll have lots more videos like this of all the other microphones I use too.